guys, now that it's been a few days, I wanted to do an update. So this is the October 4th update about the global Sumud. All right, and yes, I know that a lot of people are saying that word openly, and that's fine, great, whatever. I want to make sure that the test has the best chance of getting out there, so that's why I'm still going to sort of speak in code about it. I'm sure you guys are all aware that that was the 42-ish vessels that were sailing towards the plaza that were intercepted by Serial. Okay, so let's talk about what has happened with the vessels and the detainees. There were over 400 people sailing from over 40 countries, among them people like Greta Thunberg and also Nelson Mandela's grandson, and a whole host of other people, again, humanitarian aid workers. So where did they all end up? Let me deal with the boats first. So the boats are supposedly all still basically being stored, for lack of a better word, at the port of Ashdod in Israel. All right. Now, the people can petition the government to try to get their vessels back, etc. But let's deal with the people. Now, 4 Italian citizens were deported yesterday, I assume back to Italy. That was on October 3rd. Then today, 137 of the detainees were flown, they were from 14 different countries. They were flown to Istanbul in Turkey. And they've started telling the world what they experienced. But roughly 330 people are still in Israeli custody. Many of them are being held at the Ashdod naval facilities, but a good measure of them are being moved to the Ketziat Israeli prison, which has a sort of famous reputation for their torture, malnourishment, and unalivings of Palestinian prisoners. So that's talking about taking humanitarian aid workers who broke no laws and sticking them in basically supermax prisons where people die. And this is a good time for me to mention that, yes, of course, there were Americans aboard those vessels. Some veterans and some just U.S. citizens. And some of the veteran-based groups here in the United States are already starting to release their names and their home states. You can go check that out over, I think it's called Stars and Stripes. But I want to reiterate, these are humanitarian aid workers, not enemy combatants. And despite what Serial is telling the press, that everybody's happy and healthy, the people who have now been released and are making it back to their home countries, they're speaking to the press and they're saying what was actually happening and is still happening to the over 300 detainees. Everything from denial of food and medicine, forced kneeling, being zip-tied, psychological torment, and physical assaults. And released Turkish activist Ersin Salik says that he witnessed the mistreatment of Greta Thunberg. What he said is that he witnessed her being dragged by her hair, beaten with flags, forced to kiss an Israeli flag, and then also positioned with other flags, which of course they're just taking pictures of her, right? Like she's a prized asset in this detention. And of course, there are a lot of journalists among the people that are still detained. And groups like Amnesty and Reporters Without Borders, they're calling for investigations because this is out. I mean, Serial is acting out of the box, guys. This is ridiculous. If you made it this far in the video, don't forget to drop the words, release the humanitarian aid workers in the comment section, like, repost, and follow for updates. Also, you may want to follow me over on YTube because some of my videos keep going missing. And around the world, there are protests like in Barcelona, and Ireland has sent their consular teams, that's right, like the protection that your government would send, right, in this case to Serial, to intercede on your behalf and say, hey, you can't, you need to let our people go. Germany apparently hasn't lifted a finger, but many governments are either painfully slow or just completely silent, leaving the family members of the people that have been detained without any answers to any questions. All while humanitarian aid workers are being held as prisoners in now what looks like a high security, terrible prison. And as if we needed to add insult to injury, Serial's hardline figures are basically saying, you know what, we should keep some of these people for a couple of months to send a message to the world like that, like, hey, you don't want to send humanitarian aid to the plaza. And obviously you have human rights groups that are saying, hey, if you move humanitarian aid workers who are now international detainees into that system, that basically supermax prison in the middle of the desert, that is an alarming escalation on Serial's behalf. So let me be blunt. These are humanitarian aid workers, journalists, volunteers, and veterans, not combatants. So my question is there literally anything that Serial can do that will cause any government in the world to do a goddamn thing? Because getting on TV and condemning them and waving your finger doesn't get people released. It doesn't get aid to the plaza. So you guys let me know. If you're in different parts of the world, let me know what's happening in your corner, wherever you are in the world. Don't forget that you can go to, it's at askrafaela.com and click, I think it's the third link down where it says send emails about detainees. So no matter where you are in the world, it has a template where you can click that template and it's already written for you, and it even has the email address of the person. Because we have to put more pressure on these people because they think like, oh, the tortilla didn't make it to the plaza, so people are just tuned out now. Let me know your thoughts about what's going on in the comments.